Hotep, everybody. Welcome back to Matthew Daniels TV. Today, this is going to be a real quick one. I'm not going to do a live for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, nothing like that. It's maybe going to be about 10, 15 minutes. But I just wanted to go live and share some information with you guys. I know y'all see the title, so you know what we're going to be talking about. Did gang banging originate on the slave plantation? Now, I'm not necessarily talking about gangs themselves because every gang that our people can become involved in have an origin date, right? We know when a lot of these gangs started, we know where they started, and we know the names of the individuals who started them. But what I'm talking about is the general concept, of gang banging, territorial beef, and a group of individuals from um, matter of fact, let me be specific. I'm from a place called Texas City, Texas. I'm in Galveston County. So inside of Galveston County, there are several cities. We have Texas City, we have Lamarck, we have Galveston, we have Dickinson, we have Hitchcock, we have League City. Counties incorporate multiple cities. Cities incorporate multiple areas of town. A lot of times they're designated by the north side of town, the south side of town, the east side of town, the west side of town, or a particular neighborhood in a particular projects in a particular apartment complex. And we find that individuals from certain parts of town have quote unquote beef with individuals from other parts of town. And those parts of town can be separated by mere streets. And individuals always ask the question, like, okay, if you're willing to fight, kill, and die behind the part of town that you live in or behind your city, what is it that you actually own in your city that makes you think it's okay to fight, kill, and die behind that particular side of your city? And what it boils down to a lot of times is just that, oh, I'm from here and you're from somewhere else. I'm from Texas City and you're from Lamarck, so we don't like each other. I'm from Texas City and you're from Galveston, so we don't like each other. I'm from Texas and you're from Los Angeles, so we don't like each other. I'm from Los Angeles and you're from New York, so we don't like each other. But then those same individuals who will fight, kill, and die for either their side of town against other people from another side of town, or that will fight or that will fight, kill, and die for their town against individuals from another town a couple of miles over, or from one state to another state. These same individuals complain about the police in their neighborhood. They complain about the mayors in their neighborhood. They complain about the city commissioners and the city councilmen, and they talk about how they are being suppressed in their neighborhoods and in their cities and in their states. They complain about being oppressed, yet they are willing to fight, kill, and die in defense of this place that they are not only being oppressed in, but that they are also own nothing in, own no businesses, own no homes, own no property, own no streets, own no real territory, can be evicted tomorrow if the powers that be seem fit. So it begs the question: Not only with just gang banging, but territorial gang banging. But did this gang banging originate on the slave plantation? Now, I've highlighted this before, so I want to just highlight this once again, and then we're going to end this particular video. But it's something that the great ancestor Frederick Douglass said in his work, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, that stood out to me, right? He says, "For I always measured the kindness of my master by the standard of kindness set up among slaveholders around us. Moreover, slaves are like other people and imbue prejudices quite common to others. They think their own better than that of others. Many, under the influence of this prejudice, think their own masters are better than the masters of other slaves. And this too, in some cases, when the very reverse is true." So right off the bat, we see Frederick Douglass explaining a phenomenon on the slave plantations that he was familiar with. He is talking about slaves from various plantations. And he is saying, Hotel Book Mizzou, I see you, family. He is saying that slaves on one plantation would feel as though their slave master was better than the slave master of another plantation. And he's going to go on to say how they believe that this superiority over their particular slave master equated to a superiority over them, or a superiority for them over the slaves of a lesser slave master. Now, really think about their psychology. Both groups of people are slaves. Both are owned and controlled and oppressed by a slave master. But it's just a human condition in trying to find something. Let me say it like this: in a situation such as slavery, when you are conditioned to believe that you are less than human, you are worth nothing, you are a beast of burden, like an animal, you will begin in that situation, in that status, in that caste system, you will begin to look for any way to assert something good about yourself. And so what a lot of slaves did on these plantations to find something that they can hold on to that was good about themselves, they would say that, oh, well, my master is better than the slaves on so-and-so's plantation. Watch what he goes on to say. He says, "Indeed, it is not uncommon," meaning this is a common occurrence, what he's about to describe to you. Now, again, everybody should know who Frederick Douglass is. But if you don't, Frederick Douglass was enslaved. He escaped to freedom, and he became one of the greatest American orators of all time. He says, "Indeed, it is not uncommon for slaves even to fall out and quarrel among themselves about the relative goodness of their masters, each contending for the superior goodness of his own over that of the other." So it's not uncommon to see slaves from different plantations arguing with each other, saying, no, my master is better than your master. No, my master is better than your master. No, my master is richer than your master. No, my master is richer than your master. No, on my plantation, we can do X, Y, and Z. No, on my plantation, we can do X, Y, and Z. Totally ignoring the fact that they're both slaves on plantations and they should be uniting with one another to depose both slave masters. But instead, they are arguing about who has the better master. No, I'm from the east side. The east side is better than the west side. The south side is better than the north side. Texas City is better than Galveston. California is better than New York. I'm from the south. The south is better than the north. All along, the people in the South amongst themselves are complaining about being oppressed. The people in the North amongst themselves are complaining about being oppressed. The people in New York amongst themselves are complaining about being oppressed. The people in California amongst themselves are complaining about being oppressed. All of the different hoods in Los Angeles amongst themselves are complaining about being oppressed. But when they see somebody from another hood that's being oppressed like they are being oppressed, they then begin to, well, my hood is better than your hood. Yeah, we both being oppressed, but my hood is better than your hood. And they're ready to fight, kill, and die behind a place where they're being oppressed, a place where they own nothing, a place where they make no laws, no rules, no regulations, no ordinances. Similar to the slave, according to Frederick Douglass. Look what he goes on to say. At the very same time that these slaves from multiple plantations are arguing with one another, at the very same time, they mutually execrate their masters when viewed separately, meaning two groups of slaves from two different plantations will argue with each other about whose master is better. But then when they are not in the presence of the other slaves from the other plantation, they are talking about how bad their slave master is. So they understand how bad their particular slave master is. They understand how bad their side of town is, their government reputation is, their police force is, and amongst themselves, they discuss it. But when they encounter slaves from another plantation, when they encounter people from the other side of town, when they encounter people from the other city 5 miles over, when they encounter people from another state, when they encounter people from another part of the United States, they are willing to fight, kill, and die about the very place they complain about amongst themselves. He says it was so on our plantation, first-hand information. He says when Colonel Lloyd's slaves met the slaves of Jacob Jepson, they seldom parted without a quarrel about their masters. Colonel Lloyd's slaves contending that he was the richest, and Mr. Jepson's slaves that he was the smartest and most of a man. Colonel Lloyd's slaves would boast his ability to buy and sell Jacob Jepson. Mr. Jepson's slaves would boast his ability to whip Colonel Lloyd. These quarrels would almost always end in a fight between the parties, and those that whipped were supposed to have gained the point at issue. So in the majority of instances, you had slaves from one plantation and slaves of another plantation getting into physical fights, physical altercations about what? About who had the better master. And the side that won felt like they had gained a point at the issue. Well, my master must be better. Again, I can be from Texas City. Me and my homeboy from Texas City. amongst ourselves, we complain about Texas City. We complain about the government structure of Texas City. We complain about crooked cops in Texas City. But I remember growing up, for whatever reason, we didn't like people from Galveston. And so when we would run into somebody from Galveston, we would get into quarrels just like these people from different plantations. Oh, and we would, oh no, Texas City is better. I'm from Texas City, Texas. Texas City is better than Galveston. And they would feel like, no, this G-Town, this the island. G-Town, the island, Galveston better than Texas City. And we would get into it. Fight, stab, break bottles, shoot, all of the madness. Fight, kill, and ready to die. And then let's say my group from Texas City, let's say we win the brawl. Winning the brawl, it almost validates that, hey, we're correct. Texas City is better than Galveston. But then we go back to these same destitute hoods. We go back to these same destitute hoods and get oppressed by the same crooked cops, planting dope on people, beating people, punching people in the mouth, taking people to jail for no reason. Mayor, city commissioners doing nothing about it. Nobody listening to us. Nobody giving us a voice. No work being done in our neighborhood. No roads being fixed. No parks being built up. No community funds being spent on our side of town. On the contrary, everything is being torn down and everything is dilapidated. And we complain and complain and complain and complain. But when we encounter somebody from Galveston, oh no, Texas City way better than Why are we defending Texas City? Why are these slaves defending their plantation? Look what he said. They seem to think that the greatness of they seem to think, meaning it's not real, it's an illusion. They seem to think that the greatness of their masters was transferable to themselves. It was considered as being bad enough to be a slave, but to be a poor man's slave was deemed a disgrace indeed. They seemed to think that the greatness of their masters was transferable to them themselves. So an individual may think that, oh, if they get no real respect in the official real world, but if they can bring respect to the place that they live, although the place that they live don't respect them, that in some way is transferable to them. People have been placed in such a low state to where they will complain about their condition. But when they encounter people from a different part of town in a different state, they're willing to fight, kill, and die to defend the place that they don't even like. So the gang banging originate on the slave plantation. Slaves from one plantation fighting slaves from another plantation about who got the best master is the same as one gang fighting another gang over whose hood is the best when they own nothing in the hood. So we're going to end it right there. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to share that crazy thing to consider. Make sure you're not acting like one of those slaves described in the narrative of the ancestor Frederick Douglass. Hotel.